Okay, welcome to today's session. I'm sure that we know what we are discussing today. We are discussing mostly about public speaking and presentation. How do you speak publicly? How do you become an effective presenter? So that's what we are supposed to cover in today's session. I have a presentation that I've prepared as usual, but then there are just a few housekeeping things that I would like to start with. The first is to thank all those who have been writing, mostly giving their feedback about the sessions. It's helpful because it makes me to fashion the sessions in a way that they are very beneficial to you. So thank you very much to everyone who ever wrote me, giving me feedback about the sessions. That's number one. Number two, as you remember that this is a mentorship group where we are supposed to help each other grow as we dream of becoming the professionals that we can dream. So I had already said that we'll be having these sessions, but these sessions are not the end. I would want us to have a one-on-one journey whereby we're able to help each other beyond these sessions. So there are some of you, I think Angela, who managed to write me about what they are doing. I'm sure it's Angela, yeah. So that's commendable. I want you guys could, if you feel like there is something that you can be assisted with, let's grow from these group sessions to the one-on-one sessions where we're able to go in depth. So with those few remarks, I'll turn on to the actual presentation for the day. So as I said that today we don't have Jack, the one who usually does the presentations on the other end, and I just speak to it. So today I'll be doing both the presentation, more like the technical part and also this part of it. So let's try and see how it works. Are you guys able to see the presentation? All right, thank you. My belief is that you're able to see the presentation because now I'm on the back of the screen. So as I've said, today we are discussing building self-confidence in public speaking and presentation. I will not go into definition about public speaking because I believe that we all know what is public speaking, and the name itself, it's already saying it's that art of speaking to the public. That is the art of speaking in public. That is like even in class, whether you're a student and you have to make a presentation, or maybe beyond classroom work, whether you're at the office, we can just say Masiku and our lives are almost 80 or 90% based on the ability to speak publicly. You can be an engineer, you can be an economist, whatever field you are in, you should still have the ability to speak those theories, that knowledge, that technical capacity that you have. You should be able to present it to others so that people should benefit from that knowledge. So in just a hashed definition, that's what I would call public speaking. The ability to speak to masses, the ability to make your point known, the ability to make your ideas known or to make your ideas clear. So that's what public speaking is about. So, but what's most important to us is, why is public speaking important? Why is public speaking important? So number one, as we know that this meeting is made up of largely journalism and communication students. So we're saying that public speaking is the cornerstone of your career. You cannot say that you are a journalist. You cannot say that you will be a communications officer or a communications manager without public speaking, because that's what the job is. That's why, if you remember previously in our session, and when I had opened the floor for people to speak and there was no one speaking, I was shocked. How come you guys don't want to speak, yet your job has to do with speaking? So the number one reason why public speaking is important is because it's the cornerstone of your job. Number two is that it builds credibility and influence. Someone who is able to speak, people are able to know them, that all right, so this person is credible on this issue. If someone has to be a Masuguan on social media, we'll see people talking about, let's say, Zodiac spoke to a political commentator. What it means is there are so many people who studied political science, but that person whom they contacted is a public speaker, someone who can comment publicly about what is happening in Malawi's politics. So because of their ability to speak publicly, they're able to build credibility that people can trust them. And further, they're able to influence the opinion, the public, like public opinion. Because when they speak on the radio, it means people who don't have understanding of what is happening in Malawi in terms of politics, they will take those views and make their decisions. So public speaking helps you to build credibility and to influence the public. Further, number three, which is the last on this list, it enhances career opportunities. The way I was saying that someone can be a very good engineer, someone can be a very good journalist, someone can be a very good anything or everything. But if you're a public speaker, you are able to prove that you are good at that through speaking the things that you understand. Because if you are called for an interview, maybe you are a very brilliant lawyer, but you are not able to speak what you know in an interview, then it means you lose the job. These are across all careers. So your career opportunities will be enhanced through public speaking. If you're able to defend why you are good at that, then it means your career can be enhanced. And even for people to get promoted, imagine you're in a team of 30 reporters or 30 communications persons. All of you have a degree in communication. How does one become a communications director for that group? Probably should be someone who is able to clearly articulate their vision or their dream for that organization. So public speaking helps you. So there I had two examples of people that we know very well, like well-known public speakers. The first one is I think should be for the fourth president of the US, Barack Obama, who is very well known for his clear articulation, powerful poses, and storytelling. We'll go into that as we move forward. So I just wanted to give you an example of people who are known because of their public speaking. So the first one is Barack Obama, and the second one is someone whom closer to home, the late Vice President Dr. Saulos Chilima. He was someone who could use intellectual depth, humor, and even strong rhetoric to engage audiences. When you are talking about a strong rhetoric to engage audiences, rhetoric is how you are able to use something that when people hear it, they will be able to relate with. I hope that makes sense. For instance, the example that I can pick and is from the rally that they had during the 2019-2020 campaign at Gincana, where the late vice president was talking about Idzafela Mbendera. Every time I listen to that speech, I develop goosebumps because you're able to say, okay, what he's saying, because he highlights the challenges that Malawians were facing, and he's so passionate about what he's saying. So rhetoric is that ability to take something that people are facing every day and you put it in a very, like you speak it in a very passionate way with strong words. Because if you say Tidzafela and Bendera, you will die for this flag. Immediately one understands the passion that you have for that flag or for your country. So that's just how important public speaking is, that you can make people believe whatever you say. You may not be sure whether it was true or not what the person was saying, but because of how they are presenting it, people are able to believe you. So that's the importance of public speaking. Moving on, we'll go to something which is more important than just understanding what is public speaking, because I know most of us know that, but we would like to understand the anxiety of speaking publicly. Why do we fear to speak in public? The number one reason that I researched was that we fear because we fear to speak in public because of judgment. What will people think about me if I say something wrong? That's the number one reason. That's why if you've been in a classroom situation, or most of you here are students, or I should say most of us are students, if we had a chance to raise hands, I would say, how many of us have ever been in a class? A teacher asks a question, we know the answer, or we think we know the answer, but we cannot raise our hand to speak because we think it might be the wrong answer. And if it's a wrong answer, people laugh at us. By a raise of hands, how many of us have ever been in that scenario? See, so I'm seeing Charles, I'm seeing almost 3, 4, 5 hands there, where you would even whisper to a friend who is closer to you. And teachers would be like, just speak up. What is it that you are saying? Speak out, because that is the right answer. So that's what we are saying, that most of us do not speak publicly because we are afraid that will be judged by others, that no, if I speak, maybe it will be the wrong answer, but what will people say? That's the number one fear. The number two fear of public speaking comes because of lack of preparation. If you can't speak because you are afraid that you will say the wrong answer, it's probably because you didn't prepare very well, so you're not sure if it's the wrong answer. Because if you know that what you want to say is right, then you will not have any other fear. So lack of preparation is the other challenge with public speaking. People will be told that we should present on this, we'll have a week, but the same way we do with our assignments, we want to do the presentation at the very last minute. You will not even have time to rehearse it. You will not even have time to research how true are the facts that, or maybe the opinions that are there, whether they are factual or not. So because of lack of preparation, most of us, we are afraid to speak publicly. And number three, most of us have a fear of speaking in public because of negative past experiences. Maybe at some point, whether it was in a classroom, whether it was at church, whether it was wherever it is that it could be. After we spoke, it was a disaster, or maybe people said it was a disaster. And from that time on, once we stand in front of people, those demons of the past experiences, they just come strong at us, and you say, you know what, I cannot speak in public just because we have a past experience. And the last reason is low self-esteem. Some of us, maybe it might be because we grew up in a home where we are taught that we'll never be anything, or maybe we grew up in a home where no one speaks publicly. Everyone just holds their opinions to themselves. Because of that, we don't have the courage to speak in public. We just feel like, you know, who am I? Like, am I someone who can speak and people can listen to me? Even in this group, so when I ask a question, some of us will not answer because we're like, you know what? Maybe I know the people who are here. 3 of them are in 4th year, 2 of them are in 3rd year, 2 of them are in 2nd year, and I'm in 1st year. I cannot speak here because I don't belong. So that's one of the problems that people have when it comes to public speaking. So now we'll move on to look at how do we move from this fear of public speaking to being someone who can speak with all the boldness and courage. So that is what we are calling the mindset shift, how to develop a confident mindset. So number one, when it comes to public speaking, how do you become good? Is that you should embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. You should embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. Every person who has done something that is worthwhile in life, they will tell you that they failed so many times before they reached a point where they can speak or they can become whatever they are. This will be in almost everything. Talk of relationships, talk of business, talk of work, talk of interviews, anything that you can think that is worthwhile in this life. Those people, they've ever failed at some point. But the issue was, how did they take that failing? If you made your first presentation and everyone said you made a terrible presentation, I would like to challenge you. You are better off than someone whom everyone said they made a good presentation. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because years ago, one of my teachers once told me that the student who has the best opportunity of becoming the best is the one who has become number 20 than the one who has become who has gotten the number 1 position in class. So I was interested to say, what do you mean? So he said, all right, look at it this way, Sam. if you've come out as number one in your class, in a class of, let's say, 50 people, where do you go next? If this is a first term of school and then you are number one, where do you go next from number one? There is nothing in front of you. The only thing that is there is number 2 up to number 30 going backwards. But if you are number 20 in a class, it tells you that you have a chance of rising the next term to becoming number 18, the other term to becoming number 15, the other term to becoming number 10, to ultimately, maybe by the time you are reaching standard 8 or form 4, becoming number 1 in your class. So that's how I would like you to look at the mistake that someone might say, no, in your presentation, you are speaking very fast. So at least you're like, all right, I made a mistake. I know that I speak fast. It means for me to become good, I just need to stop speaking fast. But if you are someone who thinks you are excellent, you are perfect, then you have a problem because you don't have an opportunity to learn. So I would like to say the first point to developing a confident mindset as far as public speaking is concerned is to receive that criticism. Whenever I say that, you know what, you don't know how to pronounce words, you're like, all right, thank you. It means now I have to work on how I pronounce words. If people say, you are very afraid, you are shaking when you are in front, you're like, okay, I think the issue is that I'm not confident enough. I should gather my confidence. The examples that you are giving are not very correct. Okay, it means I should master my content more. So embrace the mistakes that you make when you are speaking in public, especially that we are still students. Let's be people whom, whenever we are spoken in class during a presentation, let's go to a few people and ask them, what did you think of my presentation? Where can I improve? Because through those mistakes, we can become better. The second point is that focus on the message, not yourself. So when you are presenting, when you are speaking in public, focus on the message. It's not about you. It's about the message. It's about what is it that you have to say. It's not about you as a person, because most of us, as I was saying about self-esteem, will look down on ourselves and say, you know what, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't have the best clothes. I remember there was a time, I've remembered this as an example of the message rather than self. I was going for an interview. By then I was a student at Poly when I was doing my diploma. So I had 2 problems during this interview. Problem number 1 was that during the advert for the job, they had said they are looking for Bachelor of Arts in Journalism students at Poly to apply for a position at the Polytechnic. They were looking for digital media interns at the Department of Journalism and Media Studies. So on the advert, they had said Bachelor of Arts in Journalism student, but I was a Diploma in Journalism student. Somehow I applied, but I knew that I wasn't a fit. But I was like, you know what? If I don't apply, I lose everything. If I apply and I'm not taken, at least I tried. So I applied. And somehow after I applied, I was invited for an interview. That brought my second problem. The second problem was that because I didn't have money, I didn't have a jacket. Not a suit. No, a suit is very expensive, but I didn't even have a jacket. So on the day that I went for the interview, we were 12 of us, I remember. Out of those 12 people, 11 of them were from the Department of Journalism. They were doing Bachelor of Arts in Journalism. They were doing a degree. I was the only one who was doing a diploma. And the other 11, because they were normal students or generic students, either they had a suit or they had managed to borrow a suit from their mesho. And for me, because in Mayoga Watu, I didn't have a suit, so I just went there with my shirt. I still remember it was a white shirt. If you know those shirts, nowadays they are no longer there. It was a white shirt, and the collar was black. Umaso Manjam, it was black. It was a very funny looking shirt. I still remember it. So my friends were putting on a tie, a jacket, a suit, and me, I was there with my funny looking shirt. With that, the moment I arrived on campus and saw the other 11 people that I was competing with in this interview, immediately I was afraid. I was like, no, I'm doing a diploma. I'm in my second year. These guys are doing degree. I don't think I can compete. And look at them, all of them in nice suits with nice ties, and me in a very pathetic shirt and the brown trousers. I don't think I can do this. But somehow I remembered that I applied for this job because I know that I'm good in communications. So I went into the interview room. I remember that they were looking for 2 people only. So we were 12 of us. They were looking for 2 people. I went into the interview room. They asked me all the questions that they had, and then we went to the practical part where I was supposed to do a blog and everything else. Within 30 minutes, I was done with the interview. I went back home. In 2 weeks, I received a phone call that I was successful. I was given the job. This is the first job that I got whilst I was in the university. Whilst I was a second year student, and it was just me and the third year degree student, meaning the other 10 guys who were doing degrees, they were left with their suits and their ties, and someone with just a brown trousers and a white funny shirt was taken for the job. Why? I focused on the message, not myself. So if you are going to speak to the public, don't make it about you. Don't look at you. Don't look down on you. Don't think of what you cannot do. Tell them the message that you have brought. The message part, it takes us to point number 3. Master your content. Most people who struggle with public speaking, they do struggle because they don't understand what they are talking about. You have to master your content. Once you are given a topic, do enough research on it. Understand every aspect. There shouldn't be something that will shock you whilst you are speaking. About mastering content, I'm reminded of an interview I was watching. I love watching interviews and all those things. So it should be a week ago. A reporter from Zodiac, Leah Malikano, I don't know either it's Leah Malikano or Leah Ntemwe. She was once my friend when I was doing my internship. So I don't know what's the official name that she uses. I might mix the names up, but she was interviewing the Secretary General for MCP. And during the interview, the first thing that Leah said was, amongst the first things she said was, congratulations, Honorable Richard Chimwendo Banda, you are the youngest Secretary General for the MCP. And when she said that, Honorable Chimwendo Banda said, no, I think you are wrong. I'm not the youngest Secretary General in MCP. We've had Aleke Banda and others who are younger. And even the previous Secretary General, Esen Hawankaka, is not as old. So for you as someone who speaks to the public, for you as a journalist, for you as a communications person, the last thing you would need is to be corrected about facts just because you didn't master your content. For me, as someone who has studied communication, I was outright embarrassed that, oh no, the first question, you shouldn't be corrected by your source that you got your facts wrong. That's embarrassing in a way. So as someone who is in communications, as someone who is a public speaker, master your content, do your research, have your facts right. You shouldn't have people during an FAQ or during a Q&A at the end. What questions do you have? People shouldn't come and question your facts over something that you could have easily Googled and found that it's not true or it's a lie. So master your content, understand what you're about to speak on. The other thing is visualize success. So what I'm trying to say here is that when you go to speak in public, one thing that I've always believed in is that whilst I'm speaking, everyone else who is listening to me or everyone else who has come to see me speak, they are wishing me the best. I would like you to understand that. Whether it's in class, whether it's at church, whether it's at work, whether it's kumudzi where you are speaking and once you stand up to speak, everyone who is there is clapping hands for you. Like everyone is cheering for you. Everyone wants you to win. No one wants you to fail. So because everyone wants you to win, there shouldn't be a reason why you should be the first one to doubt if you can win. That's why I'm saying that if you are planning to speak publicly, just visualize success. Just believe that you'll do it right. If you fail at one point, just immediately move from it and to the next one. So I have examples there. The examples that I've used when it comes to developing a confident mindset, I've used Oprah Winfrey. I'm sure some of us, we don't know Oprah. So Oprah uses storytelling and authenticity to connect with audiences. Like whenever she's doing her programs, she speaks publicly more like in a storytelling way. So through storytelling, people are able to see that I think what she's saying is true. and people are able to connect with the experiences that she shares. And the other one, who is probably the most confident person that you ever meet when it comes to speaking publicly, is Donald Trump. Why? Because he's self-assured, he's confident, and he dominates public spaces with simple yet powerful messaging. Donald Trump is so confident when he's speaking. He knows what he's talking about, and he makes everyone believe that what he's saying is true, even if it might not be true. Why? Because he just has this confidence about himself. So using these skills, we can move on to become people who are better public speakers. So the other important part, apart from just having confidence, is preparation, as I said. So the question might be, how do I prepare effectively? How do I prepare well? Number one, research and structure your content. You should know from this point, what's the next point? What is it that I'll say next? So you need to research, know that how does this flow? If I'm going to speak about this, what's the proper flow? How do people understand this? So you need to research, not just wake up and say, I'm going to speak. That's why you're seeing that I'm giving you this presentation, which is well typed in a PowerPoint presentation. Why? Because I had time to research and structure my content. That's why I'm giving you examples about people, because I had time to research. So you cannot be an excellent public speaker without research. You need to research. Number two, practice, practice, practice. I've written that 3 times. Practice, practice, practice. I always say that everything else that we've discussed here, everything else that you've ever been taught about public speaking, it can never be true if you don't practice. You become good at public speaking only through practice. That's it. You can read all the theories of public speaking. You can watch all the presentations. You can watch everyone else. You can know everything else. But if you have never practiced public speaking, then you cannot be good at public speaking. It's only through constant practice that you can become good at that. I remember in my early days when I used to either preach at church or maybe speak elsewhere, I would have to write every word that I'm going to say. Like the way I'm speaking here, I could have had notes reading every word that I'll say. But because I started doing it frequently, the more I was doing it, the more my brain was structured to speaking, that I didn't even need notes. I would just go, okay, I know that I'm going to speak about A, B, C, D, E. The examples would just be coming as I'm speaking. Why? Because I practice. So the best way to be a public speaker is practice, practice, practice. Use every opportunity available to practice. If you are in a group, this is something that I used to do when I was in college. If I'm in a group and they say one of us should be a presenter, the natural instinct among students is that everyone else runs away from being the presenter. For me, I would always say I'm available to be the presenter. So during my degree days at Chanko, even at Poly, I'm sure that 8 of the 10 times that I was in a group, I would always be the presenter. Because if everyone says they don't want to present, I'll be like, okay, guys, give me, I'll present. Through that, I managed to gather the confidence. The other thing about preparing effectively is anticipate audience questions. When you are speaking, one of the things that I do as a person is, if I have to speak about something, I will probably Google that, what are the likely questions that I will get from this topic? Or I will ask people who are in that field, what are the most likely questions that you have on this thing? With that, it means I have an idea of the questions that I will be asked, because the most embarrassing thing as a public speaker is for someone to ask you a question and then it should be that you have no answer. What this is to do with the topic that you are speaking about. So you need to anticipate that after I've finished speaking, people ask me questions. There are other people who finish speaking and they will not give a chance to ask questions. Why? Because they didn't prepare to answer questions. So as a public speaker, always be ready. Either people will ask you these questions publicly or they will ask you these questions in private. Just prepare that there will be questions. An example on this is Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. It said that Steve Jobs would rehearse his presentations over and over and over and over again so that he should make them perfect. And another example on preparing effectively that I thought I would give, because I noted this when he used to speak, is the same thing about the late Vice President Saulos Chilima. During his 2019, if not 2020 campaign, he used to do something that yesterday, to those who listened to the president's State of the Nation address, the president adopted that, and I'm sure he adopted that from Chilima. Whenever Salos Chilima was he visited a place. In this instance, I have my home district, Salima, because I remember, because I listened to that speech. When he visited Salima, during his rally, he was able to say things. For example, we've come here because we know that we have Mr. Malasa Banda, who has a fishing business in Kombedza. When we get into government, we would like to make sure that people like Mr. Malasa Banda should have better capital for their businesses. I've come here today to speak to you because I know that we have Amfumu Agutakut. Amini Mudzimao, they have so many mango trees. Every season, the mangoes just rot because they don't have good business. Us as UTM, once we get into power, we are going to construct manufacturing industries for those mangoes in Salima. Like, Chilima would go on and on and on mentioning people that the audience knows. If they mention Mr. Malasabanda, who has a fishing business, immediately, even if myself as Malasabanda, I don't support UTM, but the fact that they've mentioned me and my business, I'm like, oh yeah, I think this guy means business because he understands me and he knows my problems. That's why I would like to zero in on this to say, public speaking, it's about research, it's about practice. Saulo Shirim was very good at this. He would do a very good research. He would even use the language in that area. If he goes to Mango, he would blend some Yao. If he goes to Nkatabe, he would blend some Tonga. If he goes to Nzimba, he would blend some Tumbuka. That's what public speaking is about. You should be able to research your people, the people that you're going to speak to. What is it that they want to hear? And what are the facts about that? And the other thing, I think it's charisma. He was someone who just had this natural charisma to, whenever you're speaking, and audience engagement. As I said, speak something that people will be able to relate to. People will be able to listen because it's what they are going through. So preparation is key. Research, have good structure, practice, and anticipate questions. The other thing is body language and voice. So this has to do with nonverbal communications. Communication scholars, they always say, most of the times when you're communicating, we communicate non-verbally than verbally. Meaning that what we show people is more important than what we say. So how do you do this? Number one, maintain eye contact. When you're making a presentation, there is no way that you'll be speaking to people and then you are facing the other way. Maybe you are busy on your phone or you are busy on your notes. Even when you are reading the notes, be able to at least memorize or know the next 5 lines. Read the first 2 lines, the next 5 lines, memorize them, and then be looking at the people. That's how you become a very good public speaker. That is through nonverbal cues. People should be able to see that the person is looking at us. Because if you are speaking and then you are not looking at the people, they will choose not to look at you even for themselves. They'll be busy looking at their phones or looking at everything else. As a result, you'll be speaking to yourself, then you'll not deliver the message. So make sure that you maintain eye contact. And the other thing is use gestures naturally. Just that you guys are not able to see me because I'm using this presentation, but even though you guys cannot see me, but all the times that I've been speaking, I've been using my gestures. So use your gestures naturally. By naturally, what we mean is don't overdo it. There are some people whom, when they are speaking publicly, the way they would be doing whatever they would be doing with their hands, you would think they are doing sign language interpretation because all the way through they're just busy doing this with their hands. So what we are saying is use gestures, but use them naturally, in the same way that everyone would have used them in a communication setup. Point number 3 is control your breathing and pace. Control your breathing and pace. That means when you are speaking in public, take it slow. Don't be very fast. I remember in my early days of speaking to people or speaking publicly, everyone came to me with the same feedback. Sam, you speak very quickly. If you can take down the pace, like you always know what you are saying, but you say it very quickly that people don't even hear what you are saying. So that means that when you are speaking publicly, you are not speaking for you. You are speaking for the people. So for me, it was easy for me to know that this is a problem. Why? Because that's how my brain operates. Even when I'm writing, I write very quickly to the extent that at times I can write something today. If you bring it to me 2 days later and say, Sam, what was it that you were writing here? I'll not be able to read it. But it was something that was written by me, because at times I think very quickly. So I'll be writing very quickly. And because I think very quickly, I write very quickly. Often I also speak very quickly. But a good public speaker should be someone who should speak at a good pace where people are able to understand what you are saying. Speak point by point. So the example here on maintaining eye contact and using gestures naturally, I had Michelle Obama, the wife to Barack Obama. She's someone who is very good at using body language and controlled pacing. That's why if you're a fan of memes, Michelle Obama is often found in memes because she uses either her eyes or her face or her hands to do something. And just one picture of Michelle Obama using her gestures is enough to be a meme, because she's very good at communicating. I've seen this often, maybe when Barack is speaking and then Michelle is at the back. If Barack says something funny or something maybe not so funny, Michelle will not speak, but she will just do something maybe with her face, and people will be able to start laughing because she's able to use her entire body to communicate with the people. That's it. Number 2 is Donald Trump. Donald knows how to use exaggerated gestures and direct eye contact for authority. If you've seen if you were able to see me, guys, there is something that he does with his hands whenever he's speaking. That's using some form of some exaggerated gestures just to communicate and pass a message. So we'll move on from body language to engaging the audience. So when you are speaking to the public, how do you engage the audience? How do you make sure that people are still listening to you even after having a talk that has been going on for 30 minutes? How do you make them continue listening to you? So number 1 is storytelling techniques. Make sure that you tell a story, as I was saying about using examples of stories of people, maybe things that people can relate with. Find a way to speak in a way that people are able to relate with, not as if you're just reading some class notes, but tell a story. People love stories. For you guys, because you're in journalism and communication, I've always said that if you are talking about the success of your organization, for instance, if you work for an organization, this organization has helped, let's say, 1,500 people to get food, right? This was a community that was struggling with maybe food security, but because you are working for, let's say, food and agriculture organization, or maybe you're working for UNICEF and so many children were suffering because of lack of food, or WFP, and you have managed to help 30,000 people. There are 2 ways that you can tell that to people. Way number 1, you can just come and say, we came into this community and there were 30,000 people were suffering. We came with our development project and 27,000 people managed to get help, and now they're happy people. That is what we are doing as an organization. People clap hands. They will say, yeah, you are doing something good. But someone will come and say, when we started our project in this district in 2015, we met a young man named James. James had lost both parents. He was living with a grandmother who is 97 years old. The grandmother couldn't do anything. And because of that, these people, every year, they were suffering from hunger. When our project came, we managed to give James bags of fertilizers. We managed to give James pesticides. We managed to give James maybe a bag of maize. Because of this, James was able to grow food. Because of this, James, because of the food that he was eating and because of what they were growing, James was able to go to school without feeling hunger or any other problems. Right now, as we are talking to you, James is no longer that struggling kid who couldn't go to school because of famine or because of hunger. Right now, James is in third year in college studying engineering. But by the time we are coming, James was in Form 12 and was struggling. But we have given James food, we have given James school fees, we have given James the confidence that he needs to excel. Right now, the grandmother doesn't worry anymore because he knows that he has James, who will be an engineer in the next 2 years. This is what our organization has been doing, but it didn't do this to James only. It has done this to 30,000 other people in James village. Do you understand those two stories, right? The same organization, the same organization, the same interventions, but the stories are told differently. Someone just says, we came, we helped 30,000 people, they are now independent. No one remembers. But someone comes and tells James' story. Even after 10 years, everyone will remember that there is a James in that village who was assisted. If people want to donate towards the two organizations, most likely they will donate to the organization that told them about James because they're able to relate with a person. The other ones have just said 30,000 people. Who are these people? So what we're saying is, how do you keep your audience engaged? Storytelling. Tell a story that they will be able to remember. The other thing, use humor in relatable examples. So that's another way. I think we'll see in the examples Trevor Noah, those who know him. Trevor Noah is someone who uses humor to talk about even the most serious of issues. He will talk about racism, he will talk about immigration or any other controversial issue that people are able to are afraid to talk about. But Trevor Noah will just throw it in as a joke, and people will be like, oh yeah, that's a nice joke. But behind that nice joke, there is a story that he's talking about. So be able to know that in this audience, the best way for people to understand what I'm saying, I should use some form of comedy. That's why we will see that many organizations, they will be taking comedians and others during their awareness campaigns because they want someone who can keep people entertained as they are passing the message. So for us as communicators, as people who are public speakers, we need to know, when do I use humor? When do I use readable examples? The other thing is varying tone and pace. Varying tone and pace. I will not spend more time on this, but what I'm trying to say is varying tone and pace is if you are reading a story, or maybe if you are talking about James, this example that I was sharing before, you say, no, James was a boy who was struggling. James lost his father when he was only 2 years old. And a year later, he lost his mother. That was very sad for James and his grandmother. But then James got a scholarship to go to college. Right now, James is an engineer. James is one of the brightest boys that have come out of that village. What am I doing here? If I'm talking about the sadness of James' life, the loss of the parents, the hunger that came in the village, the year that they had no rains, I have to speak in a way that shows that this was sad. That's what we mean by varying tone. But if I'm talking about James finding a very beautiful girlfriend, then I have to emphasize and say it with all the confidence I can, because this is good. So what we're saying is a good public speaker knows how to change their tone to express what they are talking about. So if you are speaking very quickly in a joyous manner, and then all of a sudden you are speaking in a low tone, your audience will stop and say, wait a minute, he was making noise. Why is he speaking in a low tone? It means now you have their attention. So that's what you do to engage your audience. So example, as I already say, Trevor Noah, he knows how to use humor and relatable storytelling. And Salos Chilima, sorry, I'm overusing him because I know that he's probably one of the best public speakers that we've had in Malawi. You and me will agree that Salos Chilima used to come with his own Miambi. Up until now, I don't know if I will ever have a chance, but I would like to know who used to give Salos Chilima those Miambi. Like, it's something that boggles me. Like, I haven't been able to come around it because most of them were, I'm a freak of Miambi, but most of them I had never heard them. I first heard them from him, and I've never heard them from anyone else. So he knew how to engage his audience in the Miambi, those proverbs. And everyone will be like, mudzwakali kuti kwada, but then tona na mawa, and everyone will be like, no, before you go, mutipatse mwambi wa lero. Like, he would know that he's supposed to say mwambi, but he would not say it waiting for the people to urge him to say Mwambi. He knew that that was his trademark. That is how he used to keep his audiences engaged. So you have to have different techniques. The other thing is, how do you overcome nervousness? We have about 13 minutes. So I'm trying to make the best use of it. Number one, deep breathing exercise. So the thing is, when you are speaking, at times just take a deep breath. If you have a bottle of water like the one I have right now, take a sip of water. No one will think you are failing because you are taking a deep breath or you are taking a sip of water. With that, you overcome nervousness and you reorganize yourself. Number two, power pauses before speaking. When you are speaking to people, the last thing you do is that you have people there and then you are standing with your arms folded. You are the one whom people are supposed to listen to. Maybe you want to speak to them and then you have your hands in your pocket. It just shows that you don't have confidence. So stand there confidently, and if you can, this is something that I do when I'm speaking publicly. If there is space, move around. Of course, don't overdo it, but move around a bit. Show that you own the stage. This is me. I've come to speak. I know what I'm talking about, and I will show that I'm confident to speak about this. Move around a bit. Show that you're in control of the stage. And as I said, focusing on the message. For you to overcome nervousness is, your message. So you know that even if maybe I'm not the best presenter, but I'm the best person to speak about this because I know what I'm talking about. So know your message. This is interactive. We'll not do it now, but what I want from each of you, as I said, that apart from this session that we are having here, I would want each one of you to make your own initiative. So I would like you to think of a topic that you are passionate about, whatever it is that you are passionate about. In that topic, record a maximum of a 5-minute video presenting, whether you be alone in your room and you put your phone there, whether you find someone to record you. Just record yourself speaking on any topic. Use the skills that we've talked, research, presentation skills, storytelling. Use any of those skills that we've discussed and make your own video for 5 minutes. And then watch it and self-evaluate. When you watch it, I know most of us are not fans of listening to our own voices. Believe me, when I was in journalism school, the reason why I never became a radio journalist was because I always said that I don't like my voice. That's so true. So I remember that I would go to the field when I was interning at NBC. As an intern, I would write report from the field. When I go to the students, they'll say, Sam, are you going to read your report? I'll be like, no, I don't like listening to me speaking. That was then. Right now, I think I've gotten better with time. So as much as not everyone wants to watch or listen to themselves speaking, but watch it and see what is it that you could have done better and then improve. If you are confident enough, throw that video on the group and we'll help you evaluate it. We'll make time. Maybe in our next session, we'll organize a session whereby we can each be saying what is it that the other person did well in their video, what is it that they can improve. So this is interactive. As I've said, this is up to you. If you think it will be beneficial to you, you can do it. If you think it's not beneficial to you or you are too busy, it's fine. But if you want to improve, we can do this exercise. So what are the key takeaways? What are the final tips? Number one, confidence comes with practice. I said this: practice, practice, practice. If you don't practice, you never become good. Number two, engage, don't just inform. The role of public speaking, or the duty of public speaking, the objective is not just to inform the people, but is to engage them. That's why Saul's team would wait up until and he knows that if I speak and I don't include them, so because he's able to engage with people. Number three, preparation leads to confidence. If you are well prepared for your presentation, believe me, you'll be confident to present it. The last one, public speaking is a skill that anyone can master. No one should ever lie to you that you are not good at public speaking. You can master it. If you practice, if you research, if you are confident, you can become good at public speaking. That's it. So the last thing that I would do, I would just read through this list. I gathered a list of people whom I believe that are good public speakers. This is according to me. Anyone else can have their own list, but these are the people that I say that they are good. Number one, and don't be cheated, my number one, number two, number three doesn't mean this is better than the other. It's just a listing. So it's not in any order. Number one is Barack Obama. Why? Because Barack is a master of storytelling and inspiring speeches. He knows how to do this. As far as I know, no American president knows how to speak and impress when he's speaking like Barack Obama. So if you want to become a good public speaker, learn from the best. So number one, learn from Barack Obama. He's a master of storytelling and inspiration. Number two, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah knows how to engage audience. He's one of the people, they've built, I'm sure, $1 million or $1 billion industry from speaking, from the Oprah Winfrey show. So all she has to do is to speak, and she has built a show that now has millions of viewers. So number three is Saulos Chilima. Is our former president. He's charismatic, humorous, and engaging. We know that within 8 months, this guy was able to build a political party that managed to get over 1 million votes. That's how good he is. You can't just beat that. Number four, Donald Trump. Donald Trump was a guy who was a president. He lost. People said so many things about him, but somehow he's now the US president again. He knows how to speak. He's just too good at that. You might not like his politics, but listen to him speaking. He's confident and he knows what to say at a particular time. For instance, I've written about his confidence, persuasiveness, and uses repetition. When he was short, it should be last year, when he was short, at the time that he was short, everyone else could have been running away. But this guy, he just started saying, fight, 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 just with 3 words. The whole audience went crazy saying, fight, fight, fight. It's just 3 words, fight, fight, fight. But they meant so much to the people that they will fight against the system. They will fight against anything that will stand in his way to become president. That's how good Donald Trump is. The other one is Michelle Obama. Michelle uses personal experiences to inspire. So basically just shares her story about where she grew up and the challenges she had as growing up. With that, she's able to inspire. Number 6 is Trevor Noah, who is a comedian, but he's able to speak about anything. That's another public speaker to watch. Number 7 is Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek is, I would say, a leadership guru. He speaks about leadership and everything, but he has a way of inspiring whenever he's speaking. So as I'm saying, this is a list of people you can watch. Some of them, after you watch, you understand why they're on this list. Number 8 is Mbuyiseni Laws. So Mbuyiseni is my favorite politician. I would say he's South African. He was a politician until 2 days ago when he resigned from, or rather he quit party politics. But as far as I'm concerned, I've never seen a young African politician who is so good at public speaking like Mbuyiseni. So just Google him. Go on YouTube, Mbuyiseni Laws, South African Parliament. You'll see how good he is. 2 days ago, I spent 2 hours, 16 minutes listening to a podcast about why he has left politics. That's how good he is. If I can spend my 2 hours, 16 minutes listening to him, believe me, guys, he's one of the best I would recommend. Number 9 is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is known because of his simplicity and captivating presentations. Number 1, he was a brilliant innovator, being the owner of Apple, but beyond that, he knows how to speak about his products. Number 10 is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Chimamanda is a Nigerian thinker and writer. She's a very compelling storyteller. Just find any of her presentations. Most notably, one of the best that I know is I can't remember the title, but it talks about two sides of a story. I'll throw it on the group if I can manage to. I know that I'll manage to find it, but he talks about how stories are distorted if only one person speaks, or if only one side speaks without the other side speaking. It's one of our best presentations that I've encountered. In number 11, and the last one, is Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr., maybe some of us know, but he was one of the civil rights leaders in the US. He made speeches like, I have a dream, I've been to the mountaintop. These are regarded as the best speeches ever made in history. That people who are studying public speaking or speech writing, they study his speeches. So with that, we've come to the end of today's presentation at sorry, I was about 4 minutes to say 4 minutes to 7 because that's my time here, but I'm sure the Malawi time should be 4 minutes to 9. Yeah, that's the end of our presentation. I will ask if anyone has a question or comments in the remaining 3 minutes. If you have a question or a comment, the floor is open. Thank you. Yes, Angela.
Mine is a comment.
All right.
First of all, I wanted to say thank you for this session. And the other thing, I wanted to say that I have tried 2 types of public speaking. The first one is being an MC, and the second one is just speaking, like trying to inspire people. So I have noticed that I am good at just speaking, but I'm not really good at being an MC. And I don't know if that is a problem or how I can overcome it, or maybe it's just me, but I think that the time that I was trying to be an MC, I didn't really do a good job. But the time that I was just speaking from my head, like trying to inspire people, I did a really good job. So, yes, that's what I wanted to say.
Maybe my question to you would be, how many times did you try to be an MC?
I've tried it once.
That's it. That was the first time that you are supposed to learn and then build from that. So I would say, if you would like to pursue a career in that way, because if you're working as a communications officer, by default, if the organization that you are working with will have an event, you have to become the MC automatically. So I would say, don't give up yet on saying, maybe because I wasn't good once, keep on trying. I'm sure that you will find your mojo somewhere along the way. So that's what I would tell you.
Okay, fine.
Anyone else before we go? Comments, questions? Yes, Charles.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. And my question is this guy called Bagirimus TV a good public speaker?
Okay. Actually, thank you for that question. You've raised one guy that I forgot. I don't know why did I forget. I'll answer your question later, but Dr. Elson Bakiri Munuzi, before Salos Chilima, he was probably the best public speaker president that we've had in Malawi. I don't know how did that escape me. Bakiri Munuzi would joke about John Tembo, things that are very sad, but he would say it in a way that is very funny that everyone would be laughing. Bagiri Muzi would joke about the late Justin Malawi, that he had a medical situation, that he takes so many pills in a day. That was so outrageous to say in public, but he would say it in a way that everyone would laugh. Bagiri Muzi would talk about what a womanizer he is, but he would say it in a way that even women would laugh. So, before I answer your question, one person that also, if you have time, you can watch. I don't know, I'm sure YouTube should have his videos. Watch how Bagiri Muzi used to speak. He was probably the most freely speaking Malawian president that we've ever had. He would just say whatever he had in his mind and he would get away with it. Bagiri Muzi TV, is he a good public speaker? I don't think he's a public speaker to start with. I don't think so, because we don't even know who he is, guys. So I don't know. I might be wrong, Koma. To me, I would identify you as a public speaker if I know you. Even the government is failing to know who he is. So I would say the persona behind him, I don't think he is good, but then he has an agenda that he manages to pass through. So I wouldn't be a good judge of him, because maybe I've also only just listened to him once or twice. I'm not a huge fan of his TV, but I know that he's good at passing his message because people are interested in listening. But on whether he's an excellent public speaker or not, I wouldn't be a very good judge. Thank you for that, Charles. Anyone else? Elizabeth, I'm seeing a hand, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
I do. Mine is a comment.
Okay.
When you are doing the presentation on why do we fear public speaking, most of the points you mentioned were very, very relatable, and that has changed my mindset. That now I'll be able to present with confidence. Just like yesterday at my church, I was told to convene an event which we had. And I told my leader that I can't manage, I can't do this. I get so nervous. Then he told me that you can do it. You just have to what? Prepare. So after I prepared, I was confident and managed to convene the ceremony. Thank you.
No, thank you. That's it. So that's why we have this session, to learn and understand our fears. Thank you for that comment. Anyone else? Before we close, we are 2 minutes past our time. Pempero, yes.
All right, mine is also just a comment based on public speaking. I remember when I was in my first year, yeah, that's 2023. This is the time we are having a capsule meeting, which is about church. That's at school. So we have small departments in our church, or the capsule, which is in the club or society, yes, CCV, and then my students club in the youth. So on that day, it was us who were supposed to be facilitating the whole service, and I was chosen to be the facilitator, the convener rather, not the facilitator, but the convener. And after everything was done, people were giving all the comments, "Well, you did a great job," and all that. My baby says into and all that, something like that. It's all just because I was able to make the people who are in the church, to make them to be awake and all that, and then to be more active. So I think it's just something also as Mr. Samuel Marisa was just saying, Goody, you need to be able to make the people to be active in the place where you are, so that they should be following up whatever is happening, and they should not just be lost. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pempero. One thing that I've remembered from what you've said, it's not always that we'll have a chance to present in class. So what Pempera just said, whether you are religious or you're non-religious, if you are at a university, there'll always be somewhere where you can showcase your skills. Capsule, SCOM, AY, if you are Adventist, CY, what's the Catholic one? Catholic, is it CY? YCS, I'm sure it's YCS. YCS, almost every religious body on campus has an arm where you can become a part, or if you're not any religious at all, there's even a body for the non-religious atheist association. You can consider to join them. Or your society, whatever program you are studying, I'm sure there's a society for students in your program, in that, whether it's a political party wing, go to those places, because when you go to those places, you'll be able to have a chance to express yourself and then public speaking. So those are also very good platforms. For me, I remember that whilst I was in Standard 4, the first position that I got in my life, like an elected position, Moyomanga, it was whilst I was in Standard 4. As a Standard 4 learner at my school in primary, I was chosen to be the chairperson of an AIDS club, which was a very, very funny thing, because I never even understood what is it to be a leader of an organization. So, but through that, it meant Standard 4, I had a position. Standard 5, 6, 7, when I went to secondary school, whilst I was in Form 1, I had a funny scenario that I had just arrived. First time when I arrived, the secretary was come at our school. anasamuka kupita boma lina. So because of that, now they wanted secretary wa SCOM. They had to select muntu wa form 1 like me to become a SCOM secretary. And then Mitafika form 3 ended up becoming the SCOM chairperson. What I mean is that at every level in my life, I've had a leadership position because I'm able to speak out. So use a chance to join the clubs and societies in your college to learn more, to have a chance to speak more to the public. Any other question or comment before we go? All right, I'll assume that we have no questions or comments. Remember that we have an assignment which is free for all to those who want. Choose a topic, record yourself 5 minutes maximum doing what was speaking to that topic. First, do a self-evaluation of it, see where you're doing it wrong, where you're doing it right. After you've done that, record another video after making those corrections and send on the group. We'll be happy to see you, to hear you speak, and to correct you so that you can become better. We'll meet again in 2 weeks to do a topic that you guys will have to choose again. So I'll throw the vote again because the first one means it's out. For the remaining topics, I'll throw it again so that you guys should choose what is the topic that we should discuss next. I'll see if I can handle it. If I cannot handle it, I might see maybe I might bring someone who can handle it. Otherwise, thanks for committing your time to this. I believe that we are learning and benefiting. See you on WhatsApp. Thank you and good night.